Good morning, everyone. I am FLORA Tabalaw from BEd's second year. This pandemic has made our world more modernized by using technologies and gadgets to assess our learning. This morning, to know more and to know the process of using assessment tool, let's tackle about the criteria in choosing appropriate assessment tool. But for us to be guided this morning, let us read first our objectives. Our objectives is, at the end of the lesson, the student should be able to A. Examine appropriate assessment tool to be used in the classroom. B. Review the assessment tool to be used by the teacher and determine if it is applicable in 21st century. C. Decide the type of measure to be utilized. Assessment tool are the strategies, techniques, tools, and instruments for collecting information to determine the extent to which student demonstrate desired learning outcome. Ang assessment tool daw, ito na yung ginagamit natin sa pag-assess ng ating learnings. Ito yung mga tools na ginagamit natin using technologies para ma-assess natin yung ating learning. For example, is this. This is the tools that we are using para ma-assess yung ating learnings. Example, yung Quizlet, Google Classroom, and Yahoo, yung mga Microsoft Word na ginagamit natin. Yun siya yung mga tools na pwede natin gagamitin for assessment tool. Next, in choosing assessment tools, teachers need to select tools to assess student achievement in target outcome. Kailangan ng teacher na mamili kung ano yung gagamitin nilang tools sa pag-assess ng learnings ng mga student. For example, ang gagamitin ng teacher ay ang Google Classroom. So, doon, madedetermine ng mag-aaral kung ano yung gagamitin nila para sa kanilang outcomes. And then, sa pagpili ng tools sa pag-assess ng learning is kailangan nandoon na yung procedure sa ginagamit na assessment tool. For example, yung LSM app, nakikita na natin doon yung mga labels yung quiz, yung exam, and then kung ano-ano pa yung, example, yung mga projects. Doon natin makikita yung kung saan ipapasa yung ating quiz, kung saan ipapasa yung exam, kung saan ipapasa yung project. Parang meron siyang procedure para hindi malilito ang ating mga learners kung ano ang gagamitin nila sa pag-assess ng kanilang learnings. Next, we have in assessment tool, the following may be considered in choosing appropriate assessment tool. Sa pagpili ng ating assessment tool ay hindi lang siya basta-basta. Para siyang thesis, kahit meron siyang mga objectives, meron siyang content, meron siyang conclusion. And sa assessment tool, we have goals of assessment. Sa goal of assessment, para siyang objectives. Sa goal of assessment, sa pagpili pa lang natin ng assessment tool to assess our learning, kailangan natin ng goal of assessment. Yung hindi mo pa siya ginagawa, pero nakikita mo na kung ano yung outcome ng iyong ginagawa. Next is we have the methods of assessment. Methods of assessment is that yung mga procedure kung paano mo gagawin yung iyong assessment learning. Next, we have the interval in giving assessment. Interval in giving assessment, makikita mo na doon yung outcome ng iyong ginagawa. And next, we have two types of methods of assessment. The first is the direct method, and second is the indirect method. The direct method is yung siya ang mabusising pag-process ng ating assessment learning. For example, yung thesis natin. Yung thesis is kailangan niya ng mga survey, kailangan niya ng mga documentation, kailangan niya ng mga data gathering para ma-prove natin na yun yung ginagawa natin sa direct method. And sa indirect different method naman siya is madali lang siya. Para siyang sa classroom, yung nagbibigay ng essay ang teacher at saka reflections. Next, let's proceed to the formative assessment. Formative assessment. Ito yun siya ang formative assessment. Formative assessment is to improve student outcome in classroom. Para ma-improve yung outcome ng mga students sa loob ng classroom. Formative assessment it refers to a wide variety of methods that teachers use to conduct in-process evaluation of student comprehension, learning needs, and academic progress during a lesson, unit, or course. Parang dito sa formative assessment, ito yung kung paano hinahasa ng teacher ang mga learners sa classroom, kung paano niya i-manage yung sa loob ng kanyang classroom. At saka, kung ano yung mga strategies na kanyang gagawin. Parang siya yung pilot ng classroom, kung paano niya on how the teacher will sharpen the mind of the learners. Next, sa formative assessment, we have 5 strands of collaborative problem solving. Nandito kung paano natin isa-solve yung problem sa loob ng classroom. First is the participation. You need to catch the participation of the student, or you need to catch the attention of the learner para mag-participate sila sa classroom. Next is perspective taking. Meron silang sariling perspective. The learners, your teachers need to accept every student's ideas and opinions. Halimbawa, sa loob ng classroom, meron tayong different diversities of the learners. Meron silang different ways of learning. So, you teacher must know your learners' capacity para lahat sila maka-cope up with your lessons. Next is social regulations. Social regulations is yung mga rules natin sa loob ng classroom. You teachers must set rules sa loob ng iyong classroom. And next is task regulation as well as student learning. Dito na mabibuild yung sa task and regulation. Dito mo na i-build kung paano mo mapa-intindi ng maigi sa iyong mga learners kung ano yung task na gagawin nila. Next is we have building skills. Sa loob ng classroom, when teachers kapag ang teacher ay na-apply niya ng maigi ang kanyang classroom management, mabibuild niya ang skills ng mga learners niya. Next, let's proceed to creating and utilizing rubric. From the word rubric. A rubric is a set of criteria used to determine scoring for assignment, performance, or a product. Ang criteria daw, ito yung mga ginagamit natin, example in different form. Ginagamit ang criteria, for example, merong singing contest, merong dance contest, merong modelings, but also ginagamit natin ang criteria sa pag-assess ng learnings ng mga student natin. And to assess learning of the student, meron tayong dalawang types of rubric. Ang dalawang type ng rubric is the holistic rubric and the analytic rubric. Number 1, the analytic rubric, and the second is holistic rubric. Look at the difference of two. Ang ating holistic na rubric is parang holistic rubric, it looks into the overall performance of the learners. Parang parang kung ano lang yung outcomes ng ginagawa niya, yun yung tinatawag, halimbawa, outcomes na ginagawa ng bata, yun yung siya ang i-rate mo overall. Ang tinatawag natin na holistic rubric, yun yung siya ang direct na pag-judge. Next is ang analytic rubric. Ang analytic rubric is pinakamahirap siya sa lahat. Ang analytic rubric is mabusisi siyang pag-judge ng isang judge kung ano yung nakikita niya sa isang learners. Halimbawa, teacher, kung ano yung nakikita niya sa isang learners. For example na lang natin yung sa singing. Sa singing is, halimbawa, gumagawa tayo ng mga criteria. Sa criteria of singing, halimbawa, voice, 20%, voice content, 30%, and mastery is 50% with a total of 100%. Yan siya ang tinatawag nating analytic na rubric, yung mabusisi siyang pagtingin or pagsasaliksik kung ano yung nakikita niya sa isang learners. Next is, let's proceed to the paper and pencil testing. Paper and pencil testing, syempre pag may mahirap, meron namang madaling paraan na paggawa ng assessment. Ang paper and pencil testing, ito yun siya ang pinakamadali sa lahat ng assessment. Ang paper pencil is the most common assessment procedure utilized by teachers gather formal evidence about the pupils. Ito yun siya ang tinatawag na paper and pencil testing, yung sa loob ng classroom. Ang example lang ng paper and pencil testing is yung teacher is nagbibigay siya ng true or false na quiz, and then nagtatanong siya or nagre-recall siya kung ano yung past na natutunan ng mga learners, and then oral examination. Yun siya ang tinatawag natin na paper and pencil testing. Next is, let's proceed to the electronic portfolio. An electronic portfolio, which is known as e-portfolio, digital portfolio or online portfolio. From the word online, ito yung ginagamit, ito yung pag-assess ng learning na through siya online. For example dito, yung paggamit ng mga hyperlinks, paggamit ng mga links or pagpasa ng ating ginagawa through internet. Next is ang pagbasa ang paggawa ng e-portfolio. It includes text input, electronic files, images, multimedia, blog entries. Nakikita natin sa social media or sa Facebook, pag may project yung mga bata, pinapopost sa Facebook, and then the grading system is yung kung ilan yung nagla-likes, kung ilan yung nag-share. Yun yung isang example ng e-portfolio. Next is, e-portfolio are both demonstrating of users' ability and performance of self-expression. Parang dito sa e-portfolio, makikita mo dyan or nakikita mo kung paano napapalabas ng isang learners ang kanyang skills or paraan kung paano niya ginagawa ang kanyang outcomes. Next is, let's proceed to the 5 types of e-portfolio. The first one is the ideal portfolio. The ideal portfolio is that it is not given for grading. Ginagawa to siya ng mga learners para sa kanilang learnings. For example, ang example ng ideal portfolio is yung notebook ng mga bata. Halimbawa, chine-check lang ng teacher ang notebook tapos lagyan ng mga stars or signatures. Yun siya ang ideal portfolio. Parang collection siya ng mga outcomes ng student learnings. Next is showcase professional portfolio. Ito yun siya ang highlights kung paano gumagawa ang isang learners ng kanyang portfolio. Parang dito nalalabas yung kanilang skills, kung paano sila creating skills, kung paano nila ginagawa yung kanilang mga portfolios, kung paano sila maging creative sa kanilang ginagawa. Next, we have documentation portfolio. Ang example ng documentation portfolio is that yung i-compile mo lahat ng mga natutunan mo from lesson 1 hanggang lesson 5. Yun siya ang tinatawag natin na documentation portfolio. Yung parang inisa lahat ng iyong natutunan. Next is learning portfolio. Dito sa number 4, dito na nalalabas kung ano yung outcomes or kung ano yung ginagawa ng isang learner. And next, we have the evaluation portfolio. The evaluation portfolio, ito yun siya ang common na ginagamit ng mga teacher. Ang ginagamit ng mga teacher is, halimbawa, yung pag-check kung ano yung outcomes na ginagawa ng learners. And then, example is yung revalida. Since you already understand our topic this morning, that could be the end of our lesson. Thank you and God bless.